What's going on YouTube? H-Dub here, and you know we playing raid, and guys, we honestly need to sit down and talk about this. Now there has been a lot of chatter about skill descriptions ever since we've seen the skills of the new fusion. So before I really get into this, I want you guys to comment down in the comment section, of course, because that's where the comments go, any champions in the game or anything that you find a bit unclear when worded as a, in a skill or a skill that the champion has or a boss has. Just put it down in the comments right now. Anything that you are like, this 100% needs to be worded better. Pause the video to do it and then, hit play. So I'm sure you guys have put some interesting things down below, but let's go ahead and get into some of the champions that, we've found that need a rework with just how things are worded. First up, we're going to be taking a look at Venus and Tunisia. Venus's A3 says that she attacks all enemies and has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn for 2 turns. Tunisia's kit says attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn for 3 turns, right? These read exactly the same, no? Let's take a look at what these champions can do against the Hydra boss when Poison Cloud is up. So behind me I have a video from a viewer who submitted this. Obviously we can see this is the Hydra boss. We can see that Poison Cloud is up, and this is Tunisia placing her A2 HP burn. Let me run it back for you guys if it played too quickly. Tunisia is about to take a turn. You can see the skill there, the A2. It places HP burn for 3 turns. And boom, pause. HP burn has been placed on the Poison Cloud. Let's take a look at this exact same situation, but with Venus's HP burn. Here we are in Hydra again. We got Poison Cloud up, no HP burns up. Venus is going to use her skill and no HP burn being placed. So why does Tunisia's place but Venus's does not place? It has to be something in the coding. Either way, the wording of these skills needs to be adjusted. Huge shout out to Drywall Puncher, who was the viewer that actually submitted that footage for us. The next champion we're gonna take a look at is Fu-Shan. Now, Fu-Shan's A1 ability says attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing an extra hit. Now, if you use Fu-Shan and you've used his A1, you might see that it never actually places an extra hit. Let's take a look really quickly at some footage I recorded. I had to use 2 Fu-Shans to make this happen. Also slowed it down as much as I possibly could. But as you can see right there, Fu-Shan did not use an extra hit. He dealt additional damage from the skill. So it needs to be reworded to say something like repeats the skill, repeats the damage. It can place more than 2 hits, so it just needs to be reworded, right? I haven't seen it place more than 2 from all the testing that I did. I'm pretty sure, someone has. The person who suggested it to me in my clan, he said that it can place more than 2. I'm going to take his word for it. We can go ahead and continue playing this. You can see he's going to repeat it again. His A1 is going to deal damage more than 1 time, right? So boom, as you can see right there. And the red obviously is not what we're counting here. The 30,000 and the 29,000, that is the, I guess placing of the extra hit that they're saying, but it does need to be reworded a bit because it doesn't necessarily place an extra hit. The next champion we're going to talk about is Leorius the Proud. Everybody knows this is A2. It says that this champion is immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification debuffs when his A2 is not on cooldown. Now, I was not able to get video footage of this, but I have multiple screenshots of him having been true feared while his skill is not on cooldown. Let's take a look at them. So as you can see here, we have a tag team arena screenshot where Leo has his A2 off of cooldown. It's not on cooldown. He has True Fear on him, which is because 5 or 6 star Soul Reap can place True Fear on Leo despite being immune, right? What was told to me was that he blocks the fear, is not necessarily immune to it in the coding. So maybe they need to reword it in the description. Obviously, it can be argued that, you know, maybe the Yumiko here might have reset him before he got his turn, and that's why it's not on cooldown. But let's take a look at another screenshot that does not have a Yumiko in the team, and I guarantee you he didn't get reset before. As you can see here, this is a totally different account. This was from maybe, 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, where one of my good friends and viewers for a long time now sent me this after he just pulled his Leo, and he was like, dude, what is going on here? It is very possible that someone on that other team, this Foley, obviously the only one, had Soul Reap 5 or 6 star blessing and proc the True Fear on him when he did not kill him. I know for a fact that this person does not have Yumiko or Kaimar on his team. No one to reset his skill cooldown. And as you can see, the A2 is not on cooldown, guys. So this definitely needs to be reworded, for these conditions that allow him to actually have True Fear placed on him. But let's move on to the next champion that needs, a rework with their skill description. So the next champion we're going to talk about is Zargala, right? Zargala is a pretty, widely used champion. If we, look at her A3, infamous A3, which was used to kill Spider, hard before they fixed it. It says attacks all enemies 3 times after the first hit, has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Now, I think it should be worded a little differently because I'm pretty sure she has a chance to place decreased defense after each hit, right? It says after the first hit, right? Obviously, she can weak hit on some of them and possibly still place it on the other hits. I don't know how many chances she gets to place it, but it is not that clear in the description. But I do have a video recording of this in slow-mo. Let's take a look at it. So here we have a Zargala in Dragon 20, and this is in super slow-mo. Boom. As you can see right there, some damage is dealt. I paused it. It is ignoring defense. You can see that they have lost some damage, right? Sorry, they have lost some HP. You can see the little bit of HP that everyone has lost. You can see where the skill is ignoring defense. You cannot see yet the damage, right? The little bit of HP that they have lost is due to the first hit. Everyone has decreased defense on them. Now I'm going to take her into Dragon 19, where she is weak affinity, and we're going to see if decreased defense is able to land at all, based on the hits, or if it just has a chance to place, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's based on the hit. It doesn't like I don't understand how it would just magically place other than being based on the hit that occurs, whether the first hit is weak or what have you. You guys get what I'm trying to say here, right? So let's take a look at it in slow-mo. Obviously, her animation is super fast, right? Let's take a look at it one more time. And she weak hit right here at first, and then she was able to place it. No? Definitely needs to be reworded. The next champion we're going to talk about is Ultimate Death Knight, a champion that everybody has, right? His passive ability says whenever an ally is attacked, has a 100% chance of completely blocking one hit, decreasing the incoming damage to 0. This champion will receive that damage instead. It will also redirect any debuffs from the hit to this champion. The chance of blocking a hit and redirecting the debuffs decreases to 50% if the attacker is a boss. Does not work if the attack on the ally was an AoE attack. Whenever an enemy is healed, we know about the heal. Now, one thing that this does not account for is skills where the attacker is doing a multi-hit ability that is conditional, like Candraphone. Let's take a look at a video here that I just recorded in Tag Team Arena where UDK is not only blocking the first hit, but he is also blocking the second hit. So I got enough buffs up. We got UDK in here. 1, 2. Both hits were redirected from Candraphone. Let's rewind that. We got plenty of buffs up, means his conditional skill is going to hit more than one time. We see target changed after the first, and you see that UDK has taken the damage from that first hit. He hits again, and you can see that UDK took the damage from the second hit as well. So it does not account for the conditional hit of Candraphone, as well as any other champion that has a conditional second hit. He's going to absorb anything that is conditional as long as it is single target. If it's AoE, it's not gonna happen. While we're on the topic of things being conditional, the next champion we're gonna actually look at is Karato the Fox Hunter. But the thing that we really want to highlight is, okay, him working against Ursuga's passive ability, right? So Ursuga's passive says decreases the damage of all allies receive from critical hits by 30%, right? So it is conditional on the hit being critical. Let's take a look at Karato's passive. Now, Karato's passive says that damage inflicted by this champion cannot be decreased by enemy passive skills or masteries except by the passive skills of bosses. Ursuga's passive is conditional, and so it actually affects his passive and the damage output he does against her. This was told to me. I do not have, I haven't tested this myself. I don't have a video to show on this, so either we could take his word for it. I'm going to take his word for it. I don't have a Karato build. If anyone wants to test this and submit it, please send it to me on Discord. I'd be glad to show it off. Now, you might be wondering why I'm sitting here on this screen with Ailil. That is because recently they fixed the code for his A2. As A2 says, attacks one enemy will ignore strengthen, stone skin, increased defense, and ally protection buffs, right? But if you had the champion and you used him, you would know that it didn't actually ignore the stone skin, or it seemed like it just hit like a wet noodle. That is because it was coded very differently than how Georgette is coded. Georgette is going to completely ignore stone skin, whereas Ailil's did not. Let me just read to you what Polarium said. Just some important info you'd like to definitely hear right now. Ailil's A2 does not completely ignore stone skin. He deals damage to the stone skin shield first, while ignoring 85% of the damage reduction of the buff itself, and then only deals damage to the enemy's HP. They are planning to adjust how the skill works, so he will deal damage directly to the HP, thus it will ignore stone skin similarly to the way that Georgette the Breaker's A3 does. They just fixed that this week, right? So this is just an example of how we know that things are coded differently than they are worded, and this is honestly an issue. Because people might use one champion, say one champion is trash, and it could just be based on the code, and they might never go back and fix this champion, or have some just confusion about other things like turn meter control, right? Let's take a look at turn meter control, right? So we have champions that decrease the turn meter by 100%, like Coldheart, for example, right? So if we look at Coldheart, she's going to decrease the turn meter by 100%. Then you have a champion like Herndig that fully depletes the target's turn meter. Then we have Lysandra, fully depletes the target's turn meter. She also decreases the turn meter by 30%, right? The only thing that is confusing about this, and it's not confusing to people who are aware, but players who don't know or are wondering why, I thought the turn meter got decreased. I thought it did this. I thought it was 100%. Is The turn meter can go much higher than 100%. If you were not aware, I know a lot of people probably are aware of this by now, but if you weren't, the turn meter can actually go higher than 100%. That is why if you're in a dungeon or you're in an arena, where have you, it might look like somebody's about to take a turn, but then like 2 more people take a turn. While that's happening, the other person's turn meter that looked like they were about to take a turn, their turn meter is still going up. So say their turn meter is at, I don't know, 150%, right? You use a cold heart, it's gonna drop down to 50% because it decreased it by 100%. You can really see this in action when we talk about the bosses in the game, right? So all of the bosses, the ones that you can control their turn meter, have this passive that says all turn meter reduction effects are decreased by 50% when used against the boss, right? How does this affect fully deplete champions versus 100% champions? Let me tell you. Cold Heart, seeing as though the Heart Seeker is dropping by 100%, she is going to always drop 50% of the full turn meter, while someone who steals turn meter or someone who fully depletes it drops it by 50% of the actual turn meter. So where the turn meter currently is. So say you're against Dark Fae, the turn meter is kind of low, right? You may be wondering why it doesn't just fully go down. That's because the effect is reduced by 50%, and she is going to deplete by 50% of the current turn meter, not the full turn meter, whereas Cold Heart is going to drop the turn meter by 50% of the full turn meter. So you might, in fact, when the boss's turn meter is lower, get more turn meter reduction from a Cold Heart than, say, a Lysandra or a Herndid. That is all I have for you guys, though. This was definitely an interesting topic to explore. Maybe you guys have some other ideas of champions that, you know, need a rework with their skill description. Please drop it in the comments below. I will definitely take a look at it. I'll report whatever I can to Polarium as well, because, you know, it's only getting more and more out of hand. You know, the player base is definitely affected by this when using champions that they have on their account and they don't know why things are happening. So definitely, if you're aware of any, you've seen anything weird going on, put it down in the comments below, definitely. And if you haven't had a chance yet to check out the channel that I've been working on with Cold Brew, Chosen, and Scratch, definitely check it out. Champions, guides, and graphics, guys. Would greatly appreciate your support. Go ahead and throw a sub at us. If you like any of the content, all the high definition images we're putting out, those are linked as well. You can check them out on the AftershockUnited.gg website, as well as the tier list where we grade every champion in the game. But until next time, guys, thank you for your support as always. Be good and be well.